Good Monday morning. It is the 2nd of February. It's Groundhog's Day. We're going to talk about that, and we'll eventually get to Punxsutawney Phil's predictions. You found us here at the Weather Desk on 13 News Now. Meteorologist Craig Moeller, and we broadcast from our 13 News Now studios serving Southeast Virginia and Northeast North Carolina. And really with this show, and I say this all the time, and I love this about this show, we don't only serve our immediate Hampton Roads area, we serve all of the region, the entire country, really the whole world, for folks tuning in on YouTube and finding us through the various platforms we have. You can find the Weather Desk on many outlets. 13 News Now, plus a great way to check back with us as we've got so much great weather content there. What we do with each show, we take a half an hour typically to show you the big weather stories from what's happening. Let's start with what's happening today, and we are going to focus a little bit on this long freezing stretch for Norfolk. That's ORF. That's our airport kind of abbreviation there. We have been in a very, very long stretch of time with temperatures sub-freezing. Now, there are some parts of the country where that's not a big deal, but this is extremely rare. We're going to talk about just how rare it is that we have the stretch that we've had. And we're not alone. I mean, so much of the Northeast and the eastern U.S. and Mid-Atlantic region dealing with incredibly cold conditions. I know it's been, in some areas around the D.C. metro, they've been dealing with record conditions as well. So this has been something else. And, of course, we had our second winter system come through in the past 2 weeks. We had the one last week, which gave us more mix here than anything else. This one that came through this past weekend, we got our snow, 2 to 4 inches across the south side and down into North Carolina, heavier amounts. We're going to revisit that and then wrap up the storm as far as what has been impacted in other parts of the country as well. In addition to these headlines, we're also going to take a look at another house that was taken by the ocean and the high tides. We had very high tides, flooding, major flooding down along the Outer Banks, and it did claim another house. You'll see that. We've got video. And then we're going to get into some more regional travel troubles that are lingering. We've got snow and ice on some of the roads. We're going to be checking in with Marta Berglund in a bit. We'll check in with Jeremiah Beatty and Layla Cox down at the Outer Banks as well. We've been talking with her, so we're going to revisit that. Then we have the groundhog making his prediction, and I don't put a lot into it, but it sure is a lot of fun. We'll take a look at what he's going with for this year, and then we're going to look back on some of the grades over the last decade or so and see how he's been doing overall. All right, what can we expect for the coming week ahead? I've got that covered for Hampton Roads, so stay tuned for more on that. But we're going to start off talking about this long stretch of very frigid air. This morning, millions and millions of Americans are waking up to extreme cold temperatures, including right here in Virginia and North Carolina. We're going to talk about Hampton Roads now, almost a week with temperatures below freezing. You take a look here at the last week, and we were at 34 on Tuesday. Now, that occurred Tuesday evening, and that was the last time we were above freezing. So we were below or at freezing Wednesday into Thursday, and then in the 20s for highs right on through yesterday, and so far in the 20s this morning. But that's going to change. Let's take a look. 129 hours straight. So again, this stretch at 11:40 on that day last Tuesday, the 27th. As we take a look here, these are the all-time records for longest streaks in hours here since 1948. That's when the airport became the official measuring gauge for Norfolk. So since we've been keeping records at ORF, you can see the all-time longest streak, 161 hours. We're not going to be that close to that. That'd be another day and a half or so, so we won't get to there. But you can see as we go through about 1 o'clock this afternoon, that's going to put us at around 133 hours. We're going to finish up just outside the top 5 for the longest stretches. And you can see these dates go back quite a bit. 1961, that was the longest streak. In 81, we went 157 hours. Similar in 80, so a couple of really cold stretches there. Then back to 1970 and 1968. If we compare this stretch to more recent figures, let's say since 2000. Take a look at this. This is where it gets really interesting. You can see the top 5 since 2000, 67 hours back last year, January 20th through the 23rd, we had that cold stretch. Then in 2000, it was the 21st through the 24th where we had 66 hours. So we've had some cold periods that have lasted a couple days, 2.5 days or so. You see that there. But this year, all right, and again, this is comparing since 2000. This 129 hours, it will finish out around 133, maybe 134, basically doubling the longest stretch of cold weather since 2000. So this has been an exceptionally cold stretch, and we're not quite done with it yet. Now, I was also taking a look at the last time we were in the 40s. It's been 8 days since we've been in the 40s and 10 days since we've been above normal. Our normal high is now 51. So we have been going for a long time, and we won't be above normal for a while yet. We'll talk about that. As you can see, the forecast today, temperatures now in the upper 20s. I'd say by lunchtime, we're going to be right around 33. We may get there. Previously, models suggesting it would be around 1 o'clock, so we may get to 12. At any rate, you're talking right now 129 hours, 130, 31, 32, 132, maybe 133, somewhere in there. We'll see when the streak of sub-freezing temperatures ends for Norfolk. And it really doesn't get too warm this afternoon. We're just talking mid-30s, maybe mid to upper 30s for Norfolk. It will be a little warmer inland. Now, as I mentioned, we've had this cold run, and when you consider we're on day 10 with temperatures below average, as we look forward, keeping in mind 51 is normal, we're going to be back into the 40s tomorrow, so that'll end that 8-day run. I think today's the 9th day without seeing 40s, but that should end tomorrow. Then as we look forward, we're going to see some more cold pushes of air, another one coming in Thursday, and the weekend looks really chilly as well. By next Wednesday, if the forecast doesn't change, we may get back above normal. So we're looking at temperatures now, a 10-day run. You go and add another 9 days, maybe 19 days or so, 19, 20 days below average. It has been a very cold stretch here in the Mid-Atlantic, specifically for Norfolk. All right, as you can see, other parts of the country also experiencing the cold conditions in the Northeast. It's much warmer out to the west. I talk about this a lot. When we have really cold outbreaks in the east or in the west, it's almost like a teeter-totter where, you know, one end's low. In this case, it's the East Coast where the teeter-totter's low and that colder air is here, while the West, they're on the high side of that teeter-totter, and that warmer air, relatively speaking, is out to the west. So you see how that's oriented, and it's going to get even colder as we head over the next upcoming days into the week, and you see that next cold blast of air with the surge of warmer air out here, that teeter-totter staying down for this area, and that cold air spilling in. You see that Thursday, and then this next push of Arctic air coming in to cool us down into the weekend. I expect highs Saturday and Sunday to stay in the 30s for Hampton Roads. So that's kind of a look ahead. So it has been very cold nationally, and we're still dealing with all the wintry weather, this winter storm impacting the Carolinas, parts of Georgia, eastern Tennessee. It wasn't just Hampton Roads that was hit back-to-back by the winter storms. The system over the weekend caused travel delays and power outages across additional parts of the country. And ABC's Hannah Battah has a closer look at the aftermath.
This morning, the cleanup just beginning after a powerful winter storm wreaking havoc across the southeast. Snow and ice stretching from Florida to Virginia. The storm, one of the biggest in North Carolina's history. Charlotte getting nearly a foot of snow. And on the Outer Banks, this house collapsing into the ocean. In Gastonia, this driver fleeing to safety before a train collides with his tractor trailer that was stuck on the tracks. Driving conditions hazardous. More than 1,000 crashes in North Carolina alone. The big concern now, extreme cold. Temperatures plunging into the 20s as far south as Florida.
Orlando Tower is evacuating. All traffic stops.
The cold weather triggering a sprinkler system in the Orlando Airport's control tower, setting off a false fire alarm, temporarily shutting down the airport. Farmers rushing to protect their fruit from the cold. Iguanas now falling from trees. the cold leaving them virtually paralyzed.
They're cold-blooded animals, and they just cannot hold on with the high winds and the cold temperatures.
Once it warms up, they'll safely defrost. Meanwhile, parts of the South are still without power more than 1 week after a separate storm hit the region. More than 30,000 customers in Tennessee are still in the dark.
Thank God for some little propane heaters, been able to keep the house from freezing.
And now Duke Energy is urging customers in the Carolinas and Florida to conserve power to prevent outages. Hannah Battah, ABC News, New York.
All right, we're going to take a look at where some of the snow fell with this last round. As I mentioned, portions of Tennessee and Georgia seeing snow. They were under the winter storm warning. South Carolina, North Carolina, so much of it seeing the snow. And we got some snow here as well. You can see light amounts left over for parts of the south side and out to the west. There wasn't as much with this round, but there's a little bit up there. Eastern Shore's in pretty good shape. As we take a little closer look, we're seeing less and less along the bay and at the ocean front. Some of the roads still a little messy. Where we do have more snow is down to the south. You see these darker areas shaded in. Still some areas with over 6 inches on the ground. You take a look at snow reports from the weekend, and these came in yesterday morning. Some of these we had some snow totals. Grandy with 10 inches. Duck down at the Outer Banks 7 inches. Suffolk 4.2. That was near Kilby Shores. Great Bridge 3.7. Newport News, we had one report of an inch and a half. Many parts of the peninsula got less than that, but there was an inch and a half there in Newport News. Burgess around 9 inches. Weeksville 6 inches in Nixonton and Moyock over 5 inches there. That report from Gallup's Corner in Virginia Beach near Salem. You can see they had a little bit there, 2.5 inches. Most of the south side got around 2 inches or so, a little bit more. So the concentration of heavier snow down around the Outer Banks, and those areas hit pretty hard. Here's what it looked like Saturday afternoon. Just as those flakes started falling, gusty winds even shook light poles and brought down some power lines. Layla Cox is still in Dare County. Layla, first of all, this is the first time we've had a chance to talk, really, other than a couple quick hits. You did so great over the weekend. Your reporting was amazing. Talk to us about what you're seeing out there right now.
Good morning, Craig. You know, I was just saying to myself, oh, wow, this is my first time talking to Craig on air. I'm super excited to be here with you guys on the weather desk during daybreak. My past daybreak coverages the past 2 days now, going on my third day. But it's been a whirlwind, to say the least, down here in the Outer Banks. We know Governor Josh Stein issued that state of emergency because of the winter storm forecast predictions, bringing snow accumulation, very strong gusty winds, which even could have impacted the coastal and tidal flooding down here in the Outer Banks area. Now, where I am right now along the Outer Banks in Kill Devil Hills, you can see the sun is shining. It's a beautiful day, but don't let that sun fool you. The frigid temperatures are still here. It's still really cold, and the wind gusts aren't as high as they were yesterday. The fact I don't have my storm goggles on anymore, but when the wind does come, it's really, really cold. And I want to just take you guys over here to show you this kind of whiteness you're seeing on the sand. This is all the snow, the foam from the sea that's been coming in. Although this area right here was kind of built by crews to mitigate that the rising levels of the water that we're seeing, you can see this foam is essentially frozen at this point. And the closer I get more to where the water comes, you can barely even get into the sand, which is unusual, you know, for your average beach day. And if I take you over just to show you the beautiful waves right now, we're still seeing, you know, those wind gusts carry the foam even downwards through the coast rather than even upwards where I am a little bit more inland. But aside from what the coast is looking like, if I can take you over here, you're going to see the lingering conditions of the snowstorm and that snow accumulation on the roadways. As we get farther more into the roads closer to the shore, we're seeing some really icy spots. We haven't seen many people on their morning commute down here closer inland to the coast, but as we got a little bit further down on those main roads, we did see people driving, just a few slick spots, but we know those are the main ways that NCDOT has been taking care of. But I think the most exciting part that we've experienced over our coverage here in 13 News Now is just seeing, I mean, yesterday for my morning shot at the beach, the beach was completely covered in snow, and although it wasn't snowing, those blizzard conditions like you guys have been tracking were definitely into play. The wind gusts were just bringing all of the snow everywhere. But crews have been working to gather as much snow. We showed you guys earlier the snow accumulation piles on the side of the roads. We've seen a few good Samaritans out here helping crews, helping people get their cars stuck out of the snow. Unfortunately, we've had a couple hundred people out here without power. We've spoken to them, but overall their experience has been so unique, is the word that they're using for what they've been seeing down here in the Outer Banks with this historic kind of storm we've been seeing take place. Now, although it looks like I'm warm right now just because I'm standing in the sun, I'm really still cold, have on the same amount of layers as I've had on the past 2 days, and those conditions are going to continue to linger into the school and work week, although we know a few folks are enjoying the day off from school and work today, Craig.
Layla, yesterday you were absolutely in it in terms of those winds right there at the Outer Banks. We had peak gusts 55 to 60 miles per hour at Duck Pier. Why don't you give our viewers and listeners right now a feel for what that was like? I mean, you said you were wearing safety goggles, but you were being pelted at times, not only with snow, but freezing spray down there and all of the other stuff, the sea foam. What was that like in those moments?
Yes, it was definitely a moment I will never forget. I was telling Eugene and Ashley earlier yesterday, as the closer we got to the coast, the stronger those wind gusts really pick up. And it was blowing not only the sand, but the sea foam and the snow as well, that I had to have goggles on again to protect my vision, and our photojournalist, Jaron, as well. And, you know, throughout the day, the wind, it died down, but that didn't stop those snow nados from being in effect. And Craig, I've been saying it all morning. I've been saying it to Jaron for the past 2 days. You know, what are those things called? You know, snow nados? I mean, we've been seeing all those really in effect down here in the Outer Banks, especially yesterday among the roadways. You could hear the wind gusts really picking up and bringing that snow all along everywhere here in the Outer Banks. But it's nice now that, you know, we're not having those blizzard effects, blizzard effects for the snow nados, but we're still having those really, really, really cold temperatures play out.
Well, Layla, you did an amazing job. And again, what we call those snow nados, those are little eddies or little whirls of wind that pick up that light snow and carry it. And it does look like a column that's rotating up like a tornado. So you've done an amazing job. I know the folks down in North Carolina have been giving us great feedback, how much they appreciate you and Jaron and the work you guys have done down there, keeping everybody informed. Stay safe, warm up, and we'll look forward to hearing more of your stories when you come back to the station. Thanks so much. All right, so the system, not only did it dump snow here along the East Coast, but it also drove those tides, and we did have tidal flooding. Check it out. The rough surf brought down another home on the Outer Banks Sunday. The video shows it being swept away by the ocean down in Buxton. This is the latest incident. It brings the total to 28 privately owned houses that have collapsed on that stretch of beach since 2020. The National Park Service is expected to assess the damage soon, so crews can begin cleaning up the debris. And right now, with it so cold, it is a tough task they're facing. In the meantime, overwash is still impacting drivers on the Outer Banks. Part of NC 12 still closed because of it. This is a look at the dune breach on Pea Island Sunday morning. So how's all of this looking now? Well, we have Marta Berglund, and you're joining us. I know you've been keeping an eye on all of this with NC 12. How are those conditions down there right now, Marta?
Depends on where you are, and that's kind of been the theme throughout this weather event. Craig, good morning, everybody. This is NC 12, the latest look at the Etheridge Bridge, and you can see there is some snow and slush on the road. A lot of the white debris we're seeing on the roads around the region is also all the salt that was put there to prevent issues. But of course, NC 12 is going to be susceptible to problems regardless of all the preparations that go into helping it out before this storm. So it is still closed between Rodanthe and the Mark Basnight Bridge. I know Craig just had this graphic behind him, but I do think it's good to take a minute and look at all the different areas on the Outer Banks and the different conditions that people are seeing in different regions of, you know, the Outer Banks. The Canal Zone, you can see crews working to make the road passable once again. We've seen overwash, snow, ice, all of that throughout. So do be aware of that. Across Hampton roads, I do want to mention right now is actually a time we're seeing heavier traffic than we did throughout this morning, throughout rush hour, because so many delays are in place and closures. So now we're starting to see traffic pick up. We did have a multi-vehicle crash up on I-64 West this morning. We're watching that near Settlers Landing Road. Traffic down to 1 lane. Traffic conditions and road conditions in Virginia Beach also pretty variable as well, Craig. We've got areas that are completely clear, no ice whatsoever. And then in neighborhoods, you may encounter some icing on secondary roads throughout the region. You may see ice in turn lanes and on shoulders. So we're definitely watching for that. But I will say it's not nearly as bad as it was yesterday. We're not seeing snowpack across the region, so that's good news.
Certainly is. Marta, thanks so much for sticking around and helping us out with the weather desk. I know you've been watching that. We still have to watch for some refreeze on some of those secondary roads that are still icy this morning. If it melts this afternoon a little bit, then tonight very cold, so we'll be watching that. Thank you, Marta. All right, you can see across the region right now, we don't have to worry about additional snow. Not today. It is sunny, but it's cold. And Jeremiah Beatty is out in Virginia Beach at the ocean front. She's been keeping a close eye on the current conditions. Jeremiah, I see you've got that nice heavy coat on, maybe cutting the wind a little bit. You're feeling the sunshine. How cold is it out there, and how are you doing?
Well, now that the sun is up, Craig, it's bearable. Earlier, before the sunrise, we were freezing, but this sunlight hitting me makes everything feel a lot better. But we're still experiencing those gusty winds. There's a lot of lingering ice and snow on the ground. I mean, you can see that around behind me here, just kind of coating the grassy areas there. But along the beach, some of that ice has melted away. You can see, again, those waves crashing into the shoreline from the wind gusts, but things out here have much improved from this weekend during those snowstorms. So again, just a lot of lingering ice and snow on the roads. Nothing too crazy as of now. We were standing along Atlantic Avenue earlier this morning, and some of the roads that you turn off of, like 17th Street, still completely covered in snow, but the main road there pretty clear. Even coming up from Elizabeth City, North Carolina, where I was reporting in over the weekend, our drive wasn't too bad. Coming here to Virginia Beach this morning, just a couple of slick spots on 264, but so far so good. Again, you can see my coat moving. We definitely are feeling the wind, but now that the sun's up, a lot more bearable. I can stand here and not shiver as much. So, yeah, reporting live with you, Jeremiah Beatty, 13 News Now.
Jeremiah, thank you so much. You get warm, and thanks for all your great coverage over the weekend. You guys did a great job as well. We really appreciate it. All right, you see over my shoulder our furry friend Punxsutawney Phil. We're going to take a 2-minute break. When we come back, I say, what say you, Punxsutawney? We'll find out after the break. All right, we're going to turn our attention to Pennsylvania. You see Pittsburgh here. There's a little town just off to the northeast of Pittsburgh, Punxsutawney. You know, this time of year, every February 2nd, the town of Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, welcomes thousands of visitors to find out if we'll have 6 more weeks of winter or an early spring. So what's the word from Punxsutawney Phil, the famous groundhog, this year?
Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. Now on this February 2nd, Punxsutawney Phil, the seer of seers, prognosticator of all prognosticators, was awakened from his wintry nap at dawn on Gobbler's Knob. Phil looked to the skies and then, speaking in groundhogese, directed President Dunkel to the proper scroll, which reads, "It's my great honor to answer your annual call. So I rise again this morning to greet you all. But today I wake thinking of numbers and time. America turns 250 and I'm at least 139. Let's celebrate all, young, old, babies or millennial, and kick off America's semi-quincentennial. We look to the future and not just the past. So I suppose this party could use a forecast. It is my job this February 2 to look to the skies and report back to you that there is a shadow here on my ground. 6 more weeks of winter abound."
Oh, there you go. 6 more weeks of winter. I don't know what was more impressive, the forecast or the fact that Punxsutawney Phil was able to rhyme with millennial, semi-quincentennial. That was pretty smooth. All right, we'll take a look. How accurate has our furry little prognosticator been? We did a look at his accuracy, and honestly, I haven't done it the last 2 years, but looking back kind of for a stretch from 2014 to 2023 when we were pulling all this, said, all right, let's see how good he did. Give him some grades here. You can see he was okay, kind of off in 2015, nailed it in 2016. Outstanding work there. Then absolutely horrid the following year, 2017. So that was the case here. As it went forward, so-so, really did well. No shadow early spring in 2020, and the last few years he's done okay. We'll see this year. It's going to be interesting. I think it was a pretty safe bet with this cold air that's been in place and more to come that 6 more weeks of winter makes a lot of sense. Let's take a look at what we have across our region. You can see plenty of sunshine for the Commonwealth of Virginia and down through North Carolina across the area. Today, high pressure in control. As we take a closer look at our temperatures this morning, we're still in the mid-20s, upper 20s around Hampton, low to mid-20s across North Carolina. You factor in the winds, it feels like it's in the teens still. Earlier, Franklin, for 1 hour just before 7 o'clock, I think the time was 6:54. They had winds around 6 miles per hour, and they had temperatures down around 6 or 7 degrees. Excuse me, that combined to produce a wind chill of 4 degrees below zero at that time. Very cold for a few inland spots. Most areas were not that cold. We were down into the single digits. As we look forward, we're going to see the winds fairly light today, but air temperatures only in the mid to upper 30s, so it's going to feel like it's in the upper 20s later today. Now, the temperature trend over the coming 10 days, you can see, as I mentioned, next week, Wednesday, we should get back above the average high of 51 for the first time in like 19 days. It has been a long, cold stretch, some more cold weather, especially coming in over the weekend. And the temperature outlook through 14 days, still chilly in the Northeast. We're going to be closer to typical temperatures during that, say, 8 to 14 day outlook there, but maybe slightly below The warm-up is out to the west. As we take a look at the satellite and the radar images, we are dry across the region. We're enjoying the sunshine. It's a very straightforward forecast today. Plenty of sunshine. Enjoy it. Temperatures getting into the mid-30s near the coast, upper 30s inland. Overnight tonight, mainly clear. We might see a few more clouds towards sunrise tomorrow. I do think by tomorrow night, after a mostly sunny day with some high clouds kind of pushing in late in the day, we'll see the chances for showers to develop, and that's going to come later during the evening and overnight. Now, the temperatures look to be warm enough, mid-30s, that we should see just a really chilly rain across the area, some showers, maybe a little bit of snow, though, for the northern neck, Tappahannock, West Point, maybe up towards portions of Accomack. We might see a few snowflakes in the mix. That should move out pretty much around sunrise. There might be a few lingering showers. I'm leaving a 30% chance in for tomorrow with a few more showers farther to the south. I think most of the rain should be out, though, early in the morning on Wednesday. And then as we look ahead to Thursday, not looking too bad, but some more cold weather kind of settling back in. Right now, things are looking pretty good as we check things out along the Jordan Bridge here with the Thompson Creek Window Company Sky View. Hardly a cloud in the sky. It is sunny at the airport. Winds are north-northwest at 17 miles per hour, so it's still chilly. Small craft advisories up for the bay and the ocean as we go today. Highs in the mid to upper 30s for the downtown area and areas inland. It will be a little cooler, mid-30s right at the beaches. Up on the eastern shore, mid-30s around Cape Charles, low 30s at Melfa, upper 30s Hampton through Newport News and Williamsburg, including Gloucester. Matthews around 36. Outer Banks, mid-30s. You can see the sunshine, but chilly down that way, and for most of northeast North Carolina, upper 30s. Overnight tonight, 22, cold again. Tomorrow, we're going to see temperatures around 43 with mostly sunny skies. We're going to find the temperatures, again, trending back down for Thursday. Another bump in temperatures on Friday, and then colder air settling in for the upcoming weekend. I hope you've enjoyed this edition of the Weather Desk. I'm looking forward to the sunshine this afternoon and a pretty good day tomorrow with that little warm up here for Hampton Roads. Let me remind you, you can always get the forecast on the go when you download the 13 News Now mobile app. You can scan that QR code if you haven't already done it. It's a great way to stay up with our forecast, news and traffic updates all right there at your fingertips on the go wherever you go. That's going to do it for this edition of the Weather Desk. Again, I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller. We'll look forward to seeing you next time.